The US obviously has a massive nuclear arsenal, and that arsenal is big not just in the number of weapons, but the cost. Initially, to develop nuclear weapons, to purchase and build those weapons, and to maintain them year by year. But that ain't nothing yet. They're looking into modernizing, expanding, and future-proofing our nuclear arsenal for an incredible sum of money. So there's a great report right now available at The Intercept. Sarah Sirota is the reporter on that, saying that the Pentagon is hell-bent on securing funds to develop a brand new suite of nuclear weapons to replace its Cold War era arsenal, with the federal government projecting expenditures of $190 billion through 2030 to modernize powerful missiles, warheads, bombers, and submarines, initially conceived of back to engage in the arms race with the Soviet Union. So here are some details of what's going to be done and who is going to benefit. The Defense Department has already awarded Northrop Grumman the contract to build 600 new GBSDs. So those are ground-based strategic deterrents. They're intercontinental ballistic missiles intended to replace 450 1960s era Minuteman III missiles. So we need much more, actually, not just the same amount, we need more, which make up 1/3 of the military's nuclear triad. So very briefly, I say this for the audience, but especially if Donald Trump is watching. The nuclear triad, of course, is they're airdropped either cruise missiles or nuclear bombs, generally cruise missiles there, but launched via aircraft. They are ground-based cruise missiles and they are submarine-launched cruise missiles. Very important that a president understand the nuclear triad. In any event, Raytheon, another defense contractor, was also awarded a contract worth as much as $2 billion to develop a new nuclear cruise missile. And by the way, the GBSDs, those ground-based strategic deterrents that we talked about, costs are estimated at more than $80 billion through 2030, $260 billion over a 50-year life cycle, one of the most expensive weapons in US military history. And isn't it amazing, Jeff, when $260 billion can make it one of the most expensive weapons in US military history? It's not the clear winner. How awesome.
Yay. I just love the idea of putting more money into this instead of doing things like, I don't know, getting people healthcare and things like that, or doing something about the impending disaster of climate change. But hey, let's just get enough weapons to blow up the world 40 times. Now 42 times.
Exactly, yeah. We want to make sure that we give a nice shine to the glass that will be all that's left of human civilization. Now, there are some who are speaking out against this. We're gonna see how successful they are, but resistance to the current plans have been coming from people in the House of Representatives, including legislators like Garamendi. So Garamendi is John Garamendi, representative, who has one of 3 different bills that's currently pending of a variety of forms that are intended to fight back against this. You have Representatives Adam Smith, Mark Pocan, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal. Ro Khanna, of course, is a great representative. He's been on the show many times to talk about, for instance, our support for the war on Yemen, among other things. Now, Pramila Jayapal, who's the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, introduced an amendment last June to the House's fiscal year 2021 appropriations bill that sought to defund LRSOs. Those are long-range standoff weapons, a type of nuclear-armed cruise missile. The proposal died in a vote. And I want to give you the numbers because it mattered. It was 138 to 289. So overwhelmingly, no, we're not limiting even the spending on one of the forms of nuclear weapons, despite that effort there. And the efforts are ongoing. It's complex. It is not looking like there is time or the political will to get this done. Jeff, why can't we limit a little bit of the growth in spending? I'm not even talking about like a 50% cut or anything like that. Why is it so difficult to get anyone to sign on to that?
Maybe it has to do with fear. The whole idea of, we have to be strong. Again, we have to be strong. We have to have more missiles. We got to get more missiles. Besides, we also have to, give more money to defense contractors because guess what? They pay our, they give us bribes. They give us campaign donations. And of course, we have to continue to serve. We have to continue to buy up these weapons that we don't need. Once again, it's not necessarily, I don't believe that it's a deterrent for other countries. And I know maybe that's a controversial thing to say, but I don't believe it's, being able to destroy the world several times over is going to be a great deterrent for anyone. I don't think we should have these weapons at all. But apparently, unfortunately, most of Congress doesn't see it that way. And I don't know if it just has to do with the money or has to do with the fear or what is Fox News gonna say. But I do know that we're going in the absolute wrong direction in stockpiling even more of these weapons.
Yeah, I certainly agree. In terms of the vote, Republicans are going to be more resistant, but it is very much a bipartisan thing. I think that both sidesing the news is generally a sign of intellectual laziness, but there are some topics where it is basically true. Now, most of the people that are fighting against it are Democrats, but they are overwhelmed by the Democrats that whether they genuinely care about the nuclear arsenal or care genuinely worried about it, they almost certainly have bought into the idea that we need this as a deterrent, in particular to China. A lot of this has China fear-mongering in the background pretty clearly. In fact, I want to jump ahead of the last graphic. So Representative Adam Smith, who's one of those who's involved in this effort, he said to be successful in this broader approach, we have to keep the China fear-mongering under control because it is, as you know, spreading. We have to be realistic about what we face there and not make them 10 feet tall. And the thing is, as twisted as it would be, if our representatives were genuinely that terrified of China and thought that we need better nuclear weapons, we can't nuke them with old busted nukes. I don't even think that that's really what it is. It's partly paying off the defense contractors with these massive contracts, and the fact that our head of the Department of Defense right now formerly worked for, I believe it was Lockheed Martin. That's awesome. But then it's also they're terrified that if they vote against it, other people, even more craven politicians, will attack them as not being sufficiently worried about national defense, and they'll be primaried and they'll be knocked out. That's the disgusting thing I feel like is lurking in the background, Jeff.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. Of course, it has to do with the money. Of course, it has to do with the public perception. The thing that I'm worried about is like you and I, like we're video gamers. I'm a video gamer, right? I really don't want to end up in the fallout future as a result of some of these craven politicians, as you point out, wanting to serve and please their donors. And unfortunately, this is what it seems to be all about. These politicians that will continue to force, to basically live up to their contracts when it comes to these gigantic, this military industrial complex that we have in this country. And it's even more sad seeing, again, all this money going to all of that mutually assured destruction when we could actually be doing good things in this world. And exactly. We should be.
I agree. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.